Hey guys, welcome to day 15 of the May Vlog Challenge, #MayVC, and today we're talking about environmentalists, specifically environmentalists that still eat meat, dairy and eggs, animal products in general. It's a bit of a pet peeve of ours. I know that a lot of other vegans feel the same.
And animal advocates.
And animal advocates in general, yep. So we wanted to kind of just bring to light some of these things, and I guess just kind of a bit of a message to anyone out there who is or calls himself an environmentalist but is still consuming animal products and not actually trying to promote the end of consuming animal products.
So a while ago when Todd and I first watched Cowspiracy, there was a quote in there and it was about environmentalists not being able to call themselves environmentalists if they still ate meat and dairy and eggs, etc. I mean, this really rung true for myself and definitely for Todd. And I guess what sparked this video today was recently my mum sent me a video of a girl. It was actually a video that was filmed years ago, 1992 I think it was, and this lady, well, this girl who is now a lady, was talking about having to think for the future and adults having to do the right thing so that future generations aren't going to suffer and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know, I started to just starting to discuss it with Todd, and I was saying, this is so true, although it's sad to see that this was said by someone in 1992 and we're still facing these problems now and nothing's really being done about it. And I started researching who did that video, who was presenting, and I got on to Severin, I think that's her name.
Yeah, Severin Suzuki, I think it is.
Yeah. And she actually was the young girl that was presenting at UN in 1992. And I started to look through her pages. She's an environmentalist, she is a humanitarian, and I just started to look through her Instagram as well, and I noticed lots and lots of pictures of seafood. I guess she doesn't call herself an animal activist, she calls herself an environmentalist, but I feel like at this time, with all the information that we have to kind of, I don't know, I guess anyone that wants to be an environmentalist has to kind of work with animal activists and has to start to look at all the information that we have today about food, about animal agriculture, and has to get on board with it.
And it's not like people are just assuming and guessing, you know, there's a lot of science-based stats out there and facts that are really pointing to the fact that, you know, we might have fishless oceans by 2048, the way we're going. And that, you know, I mean, some of the stats you see from Cowspiracy, and again, we'll chuck a link in the description because if you haven't seen it, it's a great doco. You know, up to 91% of the rainforest is due to destruction is due to animal agriculture. And, you know, what we found really interesting when we were looking at some of the things that Severin has done, and don't get me wrong, like, she's done a lot of good things and really highlighted a lot of important things over the years.
Yeah, she devotes her time to...
This isn't like a personal stab at her. She's just kind of an example of what we have in front of us to share with you guys, to kind of point out that there's a lot of people like her that it would be really good if they could open their eyes and see the vegan animal rights, animal movement side of things as well. But she was saying in one of these videos we saw how when she was younger, they went out to visit one of these tribes in the Amazon. They had a really close bond with them and they stayed with them for a while, which is amazing. It would have been an incredible experience.
For sure.
And I think she was saying, like, she showed an overhead and it was literally like, you know, the airstrips on one side, the rivers on the other side, and there was no other way of getting in or out. After her being there, she was really upset when she could see fires in the distance, and she heard of the destruction that was going on and all these sorts of things, and started talking about some of the things that, like, people were doing to destroy the rainforest. You know, and it's great for someone, you know, to be able to experience these things and then want to make a change. But what we found interesting was that when we continued watching some of her videos and everything, there was no mention of what was happening for animal agriculture and actual farming that was going on. And we sort of started digging a bit deeper, and you could see from some of the research that what's actually happening is with these fires that she was seeing in the distance, or at least many of the fires in the rainforest, not that exact one, were actually due to slash and burn methods for farming.
To see this destruction and to see the devastation of the rainforest so close to this tribe and be so affected by it, but then not to, I guess, have that prompt you to want to do something about, I don't know, stopping these fires, stopping the cattle ranches that are there, cutting down the forest, burning it, affecting this tribe.
With over 200 million head, Brazil has the world's largest commercial cattle herd and is its largest beef exporter. It's the Amazon and those who call the Amazon home that bear the brunt of this industry. According to Brazil's National Space Institute, 61% of the areas in the Amazon already deforested are occupied by cattle.
Yeah, I think the thing is as well, a lot of people that are out there that are saying that they're environmentalists, that are wanting to make these changes and not making that connection with the animal ag and everything else that's going on there, they feel as though maybe they are doing the right thing, and they're bringing awareness to, okay, yes, there's a problem with the rainforest. We need to do something about it. Let's tell the world. Let's do all these keynote speeches and all these things, and that's great. But why not talk about the elephant in the room and actually talk about the importance of getting rid of animal agriculture? She was even saying in one of her videos that the salmon that they used to fish when they were younger, they couldn't anymore because now they were all having, all the salmon had cancer going on through them and everything. And to not realize that a lot of that is due to the pollution we've caused, which is a huge percentage from animal ag, is just crazy. And if environmentalists could really look into the animal ag side of things and veganism as a movement and get on board with that, then it could make some incredible change for the future.
I think what it used to be was maybe environmentalists, generally they're coming from a scientific background, and they kind of thought differently to animal activists and animal advocates because they thought they were coming purely from heart. But I think in this day and age, the science is there. The science supports the animal activists as well. So I think they should come together, because if there's more people speaking about these topics, the greater chance we have at doing something about it.
But like a lot of people in society, I guess they're a bit hesitant to want to take on that message, and they're scared of that change. And I think they just need to be open and just say, right, I truly 100% am for the environment, and I need to be able to commit to that. And so I need to start looking at these other things,
When I was doing research surrounding this topic, I started looking at statistics on the ABS, so Australian Bureau of Statistics, and the most recent statistics about the Australian population and their thought on the environment and climate change was quite shocking in comparison to what I personally see and Todd sees in our everyday lives. There was 3/4 of all adults, roughly 3/4, so 73% of the adult population in Australia thought that they were environmentalists. So think that they're doing so much for the environment, when I personally think that they think environmentalists and being an environmentalist is recycling or sometimes riding their bike to work instead of driving their car. And when I started looking even more into this, in Australia, we've got big sort of campaigns to reduce our water consumption.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. We've got designated days we can use our sprinklers, all the white goods like dishwashers and washing machines, they all have environmental star ratings, so everyone kind of wants to buy the most environmentally friendly white goods. But actually 65% of the water consumption here in Australia is from animal agriculture. It takes 15,000 litres of water to make 1 kilogram of beef. And in comparison to potatoes take About 267 litres of water for 1 kilo of potatoes. So
Yeah, you're looking at the land. If you've got enough land to feed 20 people with fruit and veg, then it will only feed 2 people if that land was just with cattle on it for eating meat. So like to be able to take that same piece of land and go from feeding only 2 to feeding 20.
And even more so now because everyone knows the statistics about population, and I mean, they're phenomenal. They're going up so quickly, and to be able to feed people, everyone, it's just not possible with meat and dairy. So something else Severin posted recently was a photo of her holding, I think a salmon that her and her father had caught or something. And I noticed in the comments, someone had mentioned how it was really terrible and that this fish probably just wants to live. It's a life form. We should take consideration for every creature's life. And her response to this was, plants are life forms too. And I just thought, that is such a flawed argument, the whole plants have feelings too argument. I mean, they don't have a central nervous system. They don't scream when they're harvested. They don't bleed when they're harvested. If you're willing to watch 30 minutes of animals being slaughtered in a slaughterhouse, then I'll watch 30 minutes of someone harvesting strawberries, and then we can sit down and discuss this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the comparison is just too different.
Yeah. And also, if someone is suddenly jumping on the plant activist train and they're all about plants now, then the animal agricultural industry, such as, obviously feeding cows and that sort of thing, they eat way more plants than we do. So if you really want to save the plants, then you got to stop eating the animals, because that's also going to save a lot of plants. So it's kind of a flawed argument, and I think it's something that a lot of people jump onto on comments and sort of say it because they've heard it elsewhere, or because there's been some silly study that's been published that plants have feelings, and all those studies have ever shown is that plants react. They don't have feelings, and they don't actually feel pain or anything like that. They just have a reaction, and so it's a pretty silly argument. But at the same time, if you have never heard of that, then that's an answer as to why that's not the best argument to use in the future.
Yeah.
I think everyone out there wants to do
For sure.
good things. People like the idea of recycling, and they like the idea of trying to have shorter showers or put in the little water saver things. But at the end of the day, I think people, if they really want to make that change, they really do want to be environmentally friendly, then they've got to start making steps towards becoming vegan and actually cutting out all of this animal products. When you start to really open your mind and open your heart and have a look at what's actually out there and take in that information, then you've got no choice but to say, you know what, yeah, I need to make some changes. And
so a lot of environmentalists spend their time advocating captivity programs for endangered species and species that are becoming extinct, which is great, but at the same time, once these animals are ready to be released, their natural habitat is destroyed. Like an example of this was quite a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, I can't really remember when it was happening, but there was some monkeys that they were breeding in captivity in Hawaii, I think it was. But once they were ready to be released, their habitat in the rainforest was no longer there. What do you do with them then? Are they then just kept in captivity forever and become part of a zoo exhibition that people come and pay for?
So a quote that came from the UN speech that Severin did when she was younger, where she was trying to pull up the adults and basically say, hey, we need to fix our environment, we need to fix the earth for our future, for the sake of the children's future. And this quote here, which I'll read to you, is, "You don't know how to fix the holes in our ozone layer. You don't know how to bring salmon back up a dead stream. You don't know how to bring back an animal now extinct. And you can't bring back forests that once grew where there is now desert. If you don't know how to fix it, please stop breaking it." But if you think about it, pretty much all of the things we're talking about here in regards to environmentalists and wanting to do the right thing, basically they're still breaking it. They're still avoiding the main causes of deforestation and dead zones in the ocean and all of these things that are happening to our earth that we live on. And it's become worse over time, not better, but the solution is right in front of us. And I think that's the main message we really want to get across to everyone out there who would call themselves an environmentalist, is that you actually have the power to make this change yourself. You can actually, you're only one person, but if we all did it, then all of a sudden massive changes will happen.
So that is our very short take on our position with environmentalists eating animal products. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it with any friends, family, or people you think would enjoy this video or get something out of it. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. And like they said, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is to plant it now.
That's right. So until then, until the next time we see you, eat those plants, stay hydrated, and love yourself. Peace, guys.